2003, 2004, and 2005 Dodge Ram. These are the early third-gen trucks. Mine is a 2004, and at the moment it has the dreaded lamp-out light on the dash because the passenger low-beam headlight isn't working. Actually, it's working intermittently for short periods of time, so I've been using the high beams as much as possible since the low beams are unreliable. There's nothing wrong with the light bulb. The problem isn't that simple. These trucks have computer-controlled headlights. Instead of a basic headlight relay, these trucks have a circuit board inside the front control module, which is programmed to do the job of a relay. This circuit board also pulses the power to the lights and measures resistance in the circuit as a way to measure whether the lights are working or not. If you've installed light bulbs with a different resistance, like LED bulbs, the truck computer will think the bulb is out. Installing extra resistors can trick the computer into thinking you still have the factory-style bulbs. Incandescent bulbs illuminate with a hot filament, which isn't noticeably affected by the pulsing power, because the filament doesn't have enough time to cool down between the rapid power pulses. But LED bulbs don't have a hot filament, so they might flicker with the pulsing power. A headlight decoder is a capacitor which smooths power delivery to the LED bulb. Now, I'm not running LED bulbs in my truck, but I figured it was worth mentioning here because so many people want LED bulbs. When the computer thinks the lights aren't working, you'll get the lamp out light on the dash. Sometimes the computer will also disable the light circuit when it detects a malfunction, and in that case you'll need a scan tool to clear the codes in the computer before the light will function again. So if you had a bulb go out, replaced it with a new bulb, and the light still won't work, you probably need a scan tool to clear the light bulb error code. I picked up this scan tool at Walmart for $50, and it works with a cell phone app through Bluetooth. It'll identify any error codes to tell me what's wrong with the vehicle, and I can also use it to clear the error codes after the repair. Here's what it looks like. Pretty simple. Just plugs in under the steering column. Whenever you see the lamp out indicator, it's a good idea to walk around the vehicle with all the lights on to figure out which bulb isn't working. Then you can inspect the bulb to see if the filaments look okay, and replace the bulb if necessary. If there's nothing wrong with the bulb but it's still not working, use a scan tool to check for light bulb error codes. Write the error codes down just in case you need them for future reference, and then clear the codes to see if that makes the bulb work. If replacing the bulb and clearing the error codes doesn't fix the problem, you might have a problem with the computer or the integrated power module, and replacing either of those is kind of expensive. In this video, I'll show you how to troubleshoot your headlight circuit, test the integrated power module, wiring harness, and light bulbs, along with a way to potentially fix your headlight problem, basically for free, assuming that you've already got some tools to work with. Let's get started. So here we are under the hood. This is the fuse box, also known as the integrated power module, or IPM for short. For 2006 and newer trucks, it's called a TIPM, T-I-P-M, that's Totally Integrated Power Module. The difference between the older IPM and the newer TIPM is that the older one has a forward control module, or a front control module, here, kind of under the fender. It's pretty difficult to see there. Because that's a separate part that comes off, it's not considered to be totally integrated, it's just integrated. So this fuse box, or IPM, is where all the power goes through. You've got power from the battery to here, goes through all the fuses, and the front control module there is what controls your headlights, along with a lot of other stuff. To get to the front control module, you have to unbolt the IPM. There's a little screw fastener right there, and one bolt right here. I'm going to take those off, and then the whole thing pushes that way so we can get to the front control module. Okay, so I've removed the push pin here. Looks like this. Also removed the bolt. And I went ahead and removed this wire. So it's got a push pin also, just pulls out of the hole. And that will allow the box to pull towards the engine without the wire resisting the movement. And over here on this side, there's a couple pegs in the box that go into slots in the battery here, battery box. So those pegs have to slide forward and then they can come out. There we go. A little difficult to do one-handed, but there. You can see the peg goes in that keyway hole. Alright, now it's loose. Before I get too far ahead of myself, let's go ahead, pull the lid. It's a good idea to check the fuses just in case there's a simple problem like a fuse. So here we go on the box. Number 11, FCM power feed, and number 13, FCM power feed. That's the two we're looking for. And they are numbered at the top here. So 11 is this one. 13 is that one. You can see the number up top. And basically you just look inside and make sure the contacts look good. And if it's not, burnt or separated, it's fine. If you really wanted to, you could swap it out with another one, or you could pull the fuse and test the power pin with your test light, power meter, voltmeter, whatever you got. Fuse 11 controls the low beam driver's headlight and the high beam passenger side headlight, and 13 controls the high beam driver's headlight and the low beam passenger light. They're split like that so you don't have a situation where a fuse causes all your headlights to go out. These fuses also control other things in the front control module, but we're just talking about the lights today. Okay, I'm going to use two hands to kind of wrestle this out of here. Basically, I'm going to pull it this way, and then the front control module is held onto the end of here with some screws. So I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, I got it up out of there. Took a little wiggling. You could remove the washer bottle bolt if you wanted to make a little more clearance, but I managed to get it out without doing that. So it's just held in by these 4 Phillips head screws. I'm going to remove those next. This is the front control module, this silver box here. And I'm also going to remove this one wiring connector. This goes to the headlights. So this is the headlight wiring harness. There's a bunch of other wiring harnesses down there, but this is the one that you need. Now, if you push this bail down, it clicks into place pretty good, so you might have to struggle a little to pop it loose. But as you see, I've already done that. And this has a cam action. So as this lifts, the plug has to be pulled out. If you just lift this without pulling the plug out, you'll snap the bail. So be careful doing that. The plastic gets brittle when it gets old. That's what I'm doing next. Just going to remove that harness and remove the front control module. I do still have the power wire connected, so this is all still powered. That's because I want to have power here when I'm testing it in just a minute. Okay, now I have access to everything here. I'm all set up. Here's what the front control module looks like. And basically these big pins at the top is what we're going to be working with. If you look real close in there, there's numbers. The pins are numbered. So this is 1 through 9. Now when you stick it on the box, 1 is on the right hand side over here, and 9 is over here. So this is pin 1 through 9, top row big pins. On this plug, with the bail at the top here, again, we have 1 through 8 at the top, 9 through 16 in the second row, and 17 through 26. We only need the 4 that go to the headlights. I have a voltmeter here. I prefer to use a voltmeter over a test light. Test light tells you whether you have power or not. Voltmeter tells you how much power you have. The other tool I made is this jumper wire. It has a spade terminal on each end, and I've clipped one of the little spade halves off. I guess it's kind of like a horseshoe instead of a spade. You get the idea. Just makes it narrower so I can probe it, stick it in stuff. Okay, first test. On the fuse box, pins 3, 4, 6, and 7 should have full battery voltage. So, voltmeter on. Check to make sure the voltmeter's working. Looks like my battery is at, if I can hold it on there. Okay, battery's at 12.81. So I'm testing for power, so red lead to pin 3. Oh, that's not going to work. The probe doesn't fit. So that's what my jumper wire's for. There you go. Okay, black probe on the battery. This into pin 3. Full battery voltage. Now for pin 4. There we go, that's pin 4, full battery voltage. 5 is unrelated to anything we're working on. I think it's windshield wipers or something. 6, full battery voltage. And 7, full battery voltage. Okay, so the power is going from the wire into the fuse box, through the fuses in the fuse box, and it's getting to the front control module. So I don't have a problem in that part of the fuse box. Next test. Just using the jumper wire here, I'm going to jump power from the battery to each of the 4 headlights. That's high and low on each side of the vehicle. If the bulb lights up, I know the harness is good from here to the light, and also that the bulb is good. So the pins we're looking for on this are pin 6, which is the driver's low beam, pin 7, which is the passenger high beam. Those are right next to each other in the top row here. Then underneath of it, pin 15, which is the driver's high beam. And then on the bottom row, kind of in the middle, pin 22, that's the passenger low beam. So here we go. Pin 6. It's wiggling on me here. I get something to hold the other end. Alright, pin 6. That lights up. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but I can see that the headlight lit up. Pin 7 also lit up. Pin 15. There we go. That lights up. And pin 22. So 26, 25, 24, 23, 22. This one. Yep, that lights up. Okay, so the harness and the bulbs are good. Next thing we're going to do is plug the harness back into the fuse box, and we're going to test power from here straight to the post that goes through the fuse box again back to the harness. We're going to test the other half of the fuse box, the exit half. This has to plug in as you push the bail down. And then it snaps into place.
There we go. Stays nice and tight that way. Oh, didn't quite get it. All right. Now again, just using the jumper wire, we're going to work on this top row here. Pin 1 is the passenger low beam. Pin 2 is the driver's high beam. 3 is power. 4 is power. 6 is power. 7 is power. 8 is the passenger high beam. And 9 is the driver's low beam. We're doing two things here. We're testing how the power exits the front control module into the harness through the fuse box. We're also load testing the power wires because the voltmeter tells us that we have power, but it doesn't tell us if it's enough power to handle the load of the light bulbs. So this is a better way to test the power supply. You could probably save some time and just skip to this test and not do the harness or the individual test of the other one. But if you have a problem, you would want to go back and do those other two tests I just showed you. Okay, we're going to put it into power number 7 and see if we can light bulb number 1. Yep, it lights. 2 lights. Let's go into power number 6. Do the same thing. Yep, that works just fine. Then we're going to do power 3. And we're going to test bulb pin number 8 and number 9. Both of those work just fine. And we're going to test power 4 here with pin 8, which lights up, and pin 9, which lights up. There we go. So everything in the fuse box is working fine. Don't need to replace the fuse box. The problem is here. Now, I don't have a way to test this, but the problem isn't always the box. Sometimes the problem is the connection to the box. And so something that you can do here is make sure these top pins are clean. Try to make sure those holes are clean also. Little dielectric grease doesn't hurt to keep corrosion out after you've cleaned them. And also you can get some pliers and just give a tiny little bend to that tab. And if the tab is kind of curve shaped, it'll have some spring tension inside the female connector for a tighter fit. So that's what I've done in the past, and it makes the box keep working. So as long as the box hasn't failed, if you just have a dirty connection, that'll fix your connection problem. And make sure to put the screws back in when you install it, because that's what holds it in place. If it vibrates loose, no headlights. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do next. My problem is the passenger low beam. That's pin number 1. That's this one, which is this one over here. So I'm going to give that a little squeeze here. And shove that in the hole, see if the light comes on. Snug fit. Okay. Have to use the switch to turn the lights on because the switch controls how this works. Switch is on. Door's open. You probably hear the buzzer dinging. But the headlight is on. Problem solved. Now I just have to put it back together. Installation is the reverse of disassembly. Hopefully that helps you fix your headlights, and I will catch you next time.